Hello horror fans, have you seen the third episode of Uzumaki? The third episode of Uzumaki tightens its focus compared to the earlier installments, yet the flaws in its framework become increasingly apparent. This chapter delves deeper into the theme of generational conflict, illustrating how it leads to societal disintegration, all while amplifying the narrative scope. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Unlike the first two episodes, which juggled multiple overlapping plots, this one zeroes in on just two main stories, dividing its time evenly between them. Consequently, it feels like two separate 15-minute tales, interspersed with brief scenes that serve as callbacks to earlier narratives. Despite some genuinely unsettling moments, Uzumaki anime struggles to capture the intense allure of its original source material.
All the racket!
Cursed mosquitoes. In this episode, the initial storyline revolves around expectant mothers who transform into ravenous beasts after being infected by cursed mosquitoes. These women morph into grotesque, human-like mosquitoes, prowling the darkened halls of the hospital at night. Their insatiable thirst for blood drives them to hunt down nurses and patients alike, draining them of life. With a sinister spiral power, they ensnare their victims in a hypnotic trance. The sight of their grinning, blood-soaked faces is undeniably unsettling, yet teeters on the edge of absurdity. This visual portrayal falls short of delivering true horror, leaving a lingering sense of disbelief. Kiri lay in her hospital bed, the sterile smell of antiseptic mingling with the faint hum of fluorescent lights. Shadows danced on the walls, and then she saw them, mosquito monsters. Grotesque and writhing, their wings buzzing like a sinister lullaby. They descended upon her, but with a desperate flick of her wrist, she unleashed a torrent of insect repellent, the acrid mist forming a barrier that kept the horrors at bay through the long, harrowing night. As dawn broke, Kiri stumbled from her room, her heart racing with the urgency to warn the staff. But her frantic pleas fell on deaf ears. The nurses and doctors dismissed her as a delusional patient. Outside, the pregnant women ambled about, their faces glowing with an unsettling normalcy, blissfully unaware of the terror lurking in the shadows. Yet, the true horror lay not just in the mosquito monsters themselves, but in the grotesque aftermath of their existence. The babies born from these abominations were not ordinary infants. They possessed a chilling ability to communicate telepathically. As they grew, they began to reabsorb their placentas, a grotesque cycle of life that signaled their desire to retreat back into the womb, where they could feast on blood and thrive. These placentas morphed into nightmarish, mushroom-like entities, creeping and crawling until they invaded the office of the supervising doctor, a silent testament to the horrors that lurked just beneath the surface of their seemingly normal lives. The doctor was aware of the horrors unfolding, yet he had lost his mind. Instead of eradicating the grotesque mushrooms, he nurtured them, urging his patients to indulge in their grotesque flavors. The expectant mothers relished the fungi, but Kiri, repulsed, rejected hers, claiming it tasted like iron. Disgusting. It seemed fate had a twisted sense of justice, for when the doctor attempted to offer Kiri to one of the mosquito women, he became prey himself. The creature drained his life force through a long, spiraling tongue. This chilling tale ended abruptly, leaving no resolution, as Kiri was discharged from the hospital. Unsurprisingly, she rushed home. I can't fathom why she didn't flee the accursed town after all that transpired. Perhaps she wished to remain with her family in Shuichi, but surely they could have been persuaded to leave with her. Yet Kiri makes no further efforts to share her harrowing experience, remaining trapped in the maddening spiral of that town. Creepy pottery. In the dimly lit corridors of the hospital, another chilling subplot unfolded alongside Kiri's harrowing experience. It centered around Yuki Saito, the mother of Shuichi, whose mind was ensnared by an overwhelming dread of spirals. I found myself drawn to her character, hoping against hope that she would emerge unscathed. After all she had endured, it was only natural for her sanity to fray. I could feel a connection to her torment and the shadows of paranoia that loomed over her. Yet, my hopes were dashed as Yuki met a tragic fate in this episode. In a desperate attempt to rid herself of her fears, she stumbled upon the horrifying truth that the cochlea, the organ responsible for balance, was spiral-shaped. In a frantic bid to escape her nightmare, she tried to excise them, but it cost her life. Despite the grim outcome, I felt a flicker of pride for Shuichi and the attending physician who valiantly shielded Yuki from the ear anatomy chart. They stood firm against her curiosity. Still, the specter of her deceased husband tormented her, whispering that spirals lurked within her ears. Farewell, Yuki Saito. The next sequence unfolded with a chilling haste, revealing Kiri's father as he crafted disturbing creations on his pottery wheel. His plates, pots, and sculptures twisted with spirals, each adorned with grotesque, lifeless faces. Soon after, Shuichi was haunted by the spectral whispers of his parents, beckoning him from the depths of the pottery kiln. In a moment of dread, he shattered it open, unleashing a torrent of spirits that swirled into the night. Flames erupted, but the family fought to extinguish the blaze. At first, the connection between these occurrences eluded me, the rapid pace leaving me disoriented. Yet, it was revealed that the clay for the cursed pottery was drawn from the nearby swamp, a place where the ashes of the deceased settled. The remnants mingled with the mud, allowing Kiri's father to ensnare souls within his macabre creations. By freeing them, Shuichi unwittingly unraveled this sinister tapestry of events. The sentient typhoon. Imagine a typhoon that possesses consciousness. It's not just aware of its existence. It craves, it feels, and it has inexplicably fallen for you. At first glance, this notion seems absurd, but delve deeper, and it morphs into a chilling idea. This is the fate that befalls Kiri in the unfolding narrative. A typhoon descends upon the town, lingering ominously, wreaking havoc for hours on end. It has become infatuated with Kiri, whispering her name in a haunting, gusty tone. Disturbing, isn't it? Like many threads in this eerie tale, this one could have benefited from more exploration. As it is, it feels like a lackluster subplot. Someone else was caught in the typhoon's fury instead of Kiri, only to be violently expelled from its grasp. The impact was deadly. Shuichi and Kiri were eventually engulfed by the storm as well, yet they emerged unscathed. Was it the typhoon's twisted affection that spared them? Oddly enough, it chose not to claim Shuichi's life. The sequence of events feels a bit jumbled, doesn't it? The typhoon, which seemed to vanish after its encounter with Kiri, left behind a trail of confusion. Yet shortly after, a fierce rainstorm rages, hinting that the chaos was still very much alive. Kiri's younger brother catches wind of a chilling rumor, an Oni lurking in their neighborhood. Their neighbor, Mr. Wakabayashi, shares unsettling news about a sick man's moans, echoing from a nearby house, fueling the Oni tales. When the sick man passes away, his elderly mother's wails of despair pierce the night, a haunting sound that draws Kiri to her side. What she discovers there remains a mystery, shrouded in darkness. Meanwhile, the unsettling truth about Wakabayashi emerges. He's not just a nosy neighbor, but a twisted voyeur, fixated on Kiri. As he watches her, grotesque growths begin to sprout on his body, a sinister transformation that hints at something far more malevolent. At first glance, the creatures resembled tiny hermit crab shells, adorned with spiral designs. However, they quickly morphed into grotesque, writhing masses that consumed Wakabayashi's entire being. This mirrored the fate of the old woman's son, the very thing that had unsettled Kiri just days prior. Yet, unlike the other victim, Wakabayashi remained alive, prowling with a ravenous hunger. His appearance was monstrous, featuring razor-sharp teeth and a multitude of horns, reminiscent of a terrifying Oni. As the creature advanced toward Kiri with a menacing presence, she managed to guide it outside, where the ferocious winds of the typhoon swept it away. But the horror didn't end there. Suddenly, the mangled remains of the Jack-in-the-Box child reappeared, grotesquely stitched back together after the car crash. His legs and innards tumbled away, but his torso continued to twitch and bounce, propelled by a large metal spring. He bore an uncanny resemblance to a clown from a Jack-in-the-Box, as if this was his final twisted joke. The episode concluded abruptly, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. So this was today's, folks. See you in our next video. Till then, bye-bye and take care.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.